absolutely.
Will it?
Yeah. I'll just give you a quick overview.
Yeah, sure.
And then you can jump on and try out some sounds. But yeah.
Cool.
So
to make sure it's real. I was like, is this a real thing?
It's a hologram as well. Yeah, so basically you can approach it like a piano because the keys are laid out exactly the same. So. And it's got the same sort of velocity range as a piano. One of the great things about the Seaboard is the way you can affect the pitch as you play. So you can do vibrato and you can do pitch bend.
Wow.
So yeah, you can really play it like a keyboard, and it really adds all these kind of extra things. As you can see, like using the ribbon to do some of the bends and add these.
There's a ribbon. Is it just sit slightly below where the keys are? Or can you run over the top of the keys as well?
So you can basically play on the keys.
Yeah.
And on the ribbons as well.
Okay,
and also there's one on top. So basically it's just this kind of flat plane where you can slide up and down for smoother bends.
So you could hit directly in between the notes. Is there not like a kind of like a between one note and the other note point?
So if these are two notes, you can hit between them.
But I was talking about above and below. You can do that if you're on the keyboard
above
as well.
and below. So.
Okay. Oh, I got it. Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, it's a bit like a fretless keyboard.
So you can do anything, but in a way, this has kind of given you a guide.
Yeah.
The keys
so
on
you
top
have the waves as
a
tactile guide, so you can feel around. And one of the great benefits of having pitch bends at your fingertips is to simulate real life instruments. So I mean, it's like a double bass where you can just. So you can hear like the little subtle things that's happening, which you are now able to do as you're playing. You don't have to think about additional controls, like things like that.
And is that sort of just? I mean, is that created from specific samples?
Yeah, they're all samples.
We don't both need to film this.
What?
We don't both need to film it.
Why not? What are you going to share with me?
Videos.
Of the same phone. Is it the same phone?
So we're actually linked together. It's like actually a new communication device.
It's for the panorama view. So you can
oh my god,
patch
left and
together.
right. Yeah, exactly. So the stereo effects.
So yeah, apart from all the pitch bends, it's also pressure sensitive, which means you can now sync into the individual keys to get like more volume or different sort of sound response.
Yeah.
So I mean, this sound. Should let me crank it up a bit.
And do you mind me seeing what you're playing? How no, I've got a lot of questions. But like, are these sounds directly in this?
Right now it's purely a MIDI controller.
Right. Okay. Great.
So
So what exactly are you playing?
Connected to the computer, playing various plugins, so including Contact and Omnisphere.
Does it have a specific software thing, or is it just purely there to just trigger what's
And
there?
it also comes with software bundles.
Yeah.
It's made by F Expansion.
Yeah.
And it's like a kind of FM based synthesizer.
Yeah.
So.
But just to be clear, there is an onboard sound processor, and there will be sounds for this available from early next year. So there'll be a firmware update. We're building our own synth engine, which will be available as an embedded version and as a software as well.
Okay, brilliant. Yeah, so we'll be capable of people just kind of like play it just straight off that sort of
without
thing,
being connected to anything. So that's going to be early next year, and that's going to be available for all Seaboards. It's just an update. But also it ships with a bundle done by F Expansion, specially designed for the Seaboard.
Nice.
But it also works with all of your other third-party stuff as well.
So we're at like pressure sensitivity. So, I mean, if you listen to this flute patch, you can hear like the sort of tremolo and breath control. So yeah, just
Nice.
like really high definition control as you're kind of manipulating the surface. And you, apart from simulating instruments, it's also great for designing new sounds. So one way we look at it is you can use the depth of this surface to create new patches by saying like you can tap it to get certain sounds, and you can sync into the keys to get certain other response. So this one is like a bell sound when you tap it, and you can also sync into the keys. So yeah, just really interesting in terms of getting some soundscapes or textural based sounds. So you can create some polyrhythm as you kind of vary the.
I feel like I was putting
Yes.
my hand up for a question. I don't want to like disturb your thing, but I feel like I forget it if you get to the end of your demo. How assignable are the different pressure points from the software to the sensitivity of that? So, for example, how hard you're pushing, could you assign different levels of pressure, like different parts or completely different synth sounds, for example, to that? Like how sensitive is this assonation?
So right now with I don't know if you're familiar with MIDI. It's the protocol used for kind of communicating with the computer using controllers like this. And basically, when you press down, it's sending like aftertouch data. And when you drag it left and right after you hit the note, it's pitch bend. So these two are the two parameters that we think about when we do sound design. So we think, oh, what do you want aftertouch to affect? And then you go into the synth, and you just basically change different parameters to map it.
So you can, it's completely flexible.
So it's basically you've got 0 to 127.
That's what I mean. That's what
you've got 0 to
127,
and then that's assigned to a different parameter. So say you wanted it on resonance, then you've got 0 to 127 of resonance depending on how hard you push it.
Okay, brilliant. That's what that was it. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, and to demonstrate that, we're like at this perfect sound where like the bass sound itself is quite clean and it's like a brass patch. But then you can manipulate it, so by bending. So to explain this sound.
My question really, I think. Yes, you can do all that stuff. Right.
So yeah, you can basically mapping pressure is now sort of mapped to the volume. and a little bit of
Yeah, but that's why I'm interested because obviously there's like a little bit of modulation and it's kind of like opens out as well.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of a kind of a cut off open as well.
Yeah.
That's what, so you can basically just assign loads of stuff to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could like daisy
Multiple
chain things
parameters.
together.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
yeah.
And I just
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah,
really
it's
nice.
really flexible and it's also great for like multi-layered sounds as well. So this one is quite interesting because you can again you get this kind of plucked sound as you tap it on the top. But you can also sync in.
I think another key thing to note is that it's polyphonic, but everything is happening on a per note basis. So rather than on a traditional keyboard where if you want to do something it tends to be global, this is literally individual, so you can be modulating or pitch bending over here and keeping this straight and pushing into this note and
all
at the same time. Yeah.
That's amazing. Nice.
So yeah,
Pretty
so
flexible.
I mean, we have like loads of sounds to kind of go through, but I don't know when you want to jump on and have a go.
Yeah, is there any sort of particular sounds you'd like to kind of listen to, or?
Do you mind if I just have a look at? I'm interested to see what software you've got through FX Expansion as well, just to see how that looks and
Can I load up the fuse?
how assignable that is.
It's all loaded.
Oh, is it?
So it's all. So